So Sue Butler, when she kind of handed the reins over to us, it was like literally her last day in the office. And she never swore, just to be clear. And I said, Sue, what advice do you have for us as we're about to embark on this journey with you not really being in the day-to-day? And she grabs me by the shoulders. She looks me dead in the eye and she goes, don't F it up.
Good morning. Welcome to Beta Tested. This is the podcast where we explore ideas, experiences, and leadership lessons shaping the future of business. Each episode features a candid conversation with leaders who are building, burning, evolving in real time, because the truth is none of us have it all figured out. We're all beta testing something. Today, I'm so excited to be joined by Kimberly Jones, CEO, and Amanda DeVito, CMO of Butler Till, a woman-owned, employee-owned agency so well known for its culture, commitment to people, and thoughtful approach to growth, which, by the way, none of those things are mutually exclusive. And I'd love to talk about how they all go together. But let's get started.
Thanks,
Kimberly,
Stacy.
Amanda, good to see you.
Good to see you.
How are you both today?
Better now.
Much, yes. What she said. Look at, just this group brings joy to my soul.
Yeah,
How
it
I
definitely
feel.
does. And Stacy, I'm sure that we'll talk a little bit more about it, but one of the reasons that today is so great is that this week we are celebrating what we call our Shareholder Summit. So for the first time in a long time, we have every single employee owner co-located here at our headquarters in Rochester, New York. So the place is buzzing. We've got people coming out of the woodwork. We have temporary desks and chairs and little nooks and crannies for people to work out of, because this building wasn't necessarily built for 450 people, but today we are accommodating that many.
Well, congratulations, because it feels like whether it's campaign performance that I get to see or employee count, it's been up and to the right for years now.
It has. And I would like to say that, well, of course it's intentional, but I think what we're here to talk about is how the influence of culture and people and that intention ultimately leads to positive business outcomes and growth too. So I think they're very interconnected.
Make a toast later and cheers for me.
Will do.
So Butler Till, just getting into it, is both women-owned and employee-owned.
Correct.
For either one of you, what do those identities mean in practice, not just on paper?
Amanda, you want to take women-owned and I'll take employee-owned?
Yeah. Okay, so women-owned. I'll take the women-owned piece since I think you started with that one. I think what we've recognized is that all the different genders bring different great dynamics. And we are an incredibly inclusive organization, but obviously being women-owned, it's the way we lead. It's the way that we lean in. It's the vulnerability, the empathy. It's all the things that we have talked about in leadership, and it's in our DNA. And we were talking about our colleagues, our great male colleagues, we love them and we learn a ton from them as well. So being women-owned, it's this natural kind of inclusivity that we have, but we also recognize that we have some superpowers that we lean into, and research has shown time and time again that these superpowers tend to correlate with growth and innovation, and you can't go wrong with that.
Can I interject and ask a quick question?
Yes.
Which is, I feel like so many times women, and maybe I'm projecting, are almost not afraid to embrace those things that make us innately who we are, and almost try to fit into a box that's male dominated and shy away from them, when you're talking about scientifically, those actually drive results. What's the gap and how do we close it so that people celebrate the differences they bring to the table?
Well, I think you nailed it. I think one of the things we always say is we're really grateful to earn the right to hear your story. Everybody wants to feel seen and heard. Whatever pronoun, whatever group you come from, everybody fundamentally wants to feel seen and heard. And when you're in a work environment that you are sometimes here more than in your own personal life, you want to feel seen and heard. So if you can figure out how to stretch the muscle of just leaning in and trying to earn people's right to hear their stories, so many things flourish from that. You start to have this understanding of, oh, I think they're having a rough day. I get that. We're still humans running the business, probably for a long time. And if you don't have that kind of way of thinking about it, I don't think you will flourish and thrive. And that's inclusivity, ultimately. It's psychological safety. And again, it's all muscles that you have to stretch and just acknowledge. And if you're values-based, if you're purpose-based, you have just a really great excuse to lean into that.
Yeah. I think the three words that always come to mind when I think about at least what we mean when we talk about women ownership, I mean, Amanda's right. What we're really talking about is diversity and celebrating diversity across genders, as well as just diversity of thought, but empathy, authenticity, and vulnerability. And I think Amanda and I both share those traits when it comes to our leadership styles. And maybe it's because we're a professional services organization. And again, to Amanda's point, it's still all about the people, at least for now and for the foreseeable future. Anytime I think about leadership, I think about how do we bring out the best possible version of each and every one of our employee owners. And so without having that empathy, without being vulnerable as to our own weaknesses, and without having authenticity, I think it's really hard to accomplish that.
Speaking of employee owned.
Yeah. You want to talk about that?
Yeah. How does that play itself out?
I'm obsessed with employee ownership, and I credit our founders, Sue Butler and Stacy Till, for truly being visionaries when they made this decision more than a decade ago. But as they were contemplating their own exit from our business and the hands in which they wanted to leave the business and the legacy that they wanted to leave, they chose the path of employee ownership. So today, every single person that works at Butler Till for at least 1,000 hours, which is roughly 6 months, at the end of the year, the business is valued and each person receives shares in the business. And so we are truly owners. And so when the business succeeds, each and every one of our employee owners also succeeds financially. And I think it creates just an amazing cycle of stability and growth and engagement because it empowers our employees to think like owners. And so when they're making decisions on behalf of our clients, they're not just thinking about what's in the best interest of the agency or of shareholders. They are the shareholders. So they can say, what's going to make the client most successful so that we can retain this client and grow this client and help this client's business, because it in turn is going to help our business at Butler Till, which is going to help me personally. And so it's like this virtuous cycle that we call it. And I think it just leads to amazing business outcomes. Employee engagement, employee retention, client engagement, client retention, business growth. I think it attracts really great people to work for and to work with. If you can't tell, I'm just a tad passionate about the construct. I never understand why more businesses don't take this path.
I don't either. So that's a cul-de-sac moment to all of you listening. Genuinely try to think about ownership the way we're thinking about it, because I think the difference between involvement and ownership is accountability. You've got a lot of people in our industry that get excited, they're involved, and there is an engagement piece, but the difference between involvement and ownership is accountability. And we feel that because their name is on it. They say it. I hear our people out here go, "Oh, I'm an owner too." I love when their families come in and they'll say, "Oh yeah, I'm an owner." And their families just like, it's a differentiator.
And you know what else I think is one of the outputs sitting on the sidelines watching is long-term strategic decision-making in an industry that's not to be quoted on a podcast, that can take shortcuts,
right?
Can take the easy path because,
well, sometimes they're forced to. I think oftentimes because businesses are forced to make decisions for Wall Street and for their shareholders, exactly. And so even if they wanted to have a longer-term outlook, they simply can't because it's all about quarterly earnings.
Which is why I think every brand should partner with you.
Thank you.
And I often wonder how, Amanda, from a brand perspective, do you communicate those values externally without it feeling performative and staying true to the authenticity that you display?
We're really good saying all the things in our industry. I'm sure I'm hoping anyone listening is laughing at that point. So you just can't say it. You have to show it, and you have to let other people say it for you. So back to the ownership piece, back to our clients, back to our partners. If they're saying it more than we're just thinking it's a campaign, and we're going to make it a campaignable thing, talking about our brand and talking about our virtues and our values, it's going to die. But if you've got your employee owners talking about it, you all talking about our great partners, then ownership and our brand shows up in ways that you can't quite replicate. And it's really in how you behave. So I think that shifts it from, it's a tagline, it's going to be something that sits under Butler Till, to how we behave and show up every day. So it really comes down to just show it, and be careful of when people overtell it, but no one else is talking about it.
I think you have to always translate it into what's in it for them. So we learned this really early on, because trust me, Amanda and I were very excited when we became 100% employee owned, and we would go out and say, hey, we're an employee owned company. And first we would get blank stares from both prospective clients and partners. And then we realized, not only do they not really understand what that means, they don't care. But when we talk about, let me tell you what it means to be an employee owned company, we have the lowest attrition rate when it comes to employees in the industry. So we retain employees, which means that if you really like the people that are working on your account, good, because they don't tend to go. So you're not constantly training new people. There's not any churn. You have higher engagement when it comes to the employees that work on your business. And it plays out in partnerships too, because partners want to work with us. They want to bring us opportunities and first to market opportunities and beta test. And so we're able to in turn offer those to clients. So you get more engaged people working on your business who are truly motivated for business outcomes. You get more opportunities from partners. I mean, that's why employee ownership should matter to our clients.
Makes a lot of sense. And everything we're saying sounds so good and almost too good to be true. But by the way, it's real. I've seen it with my own eyes. I've felt it with your team, not just those at the top of the org chart, but all the way down. People hold on to this company and want to do right by it.
That's great. Always
Kimberly,
validating to hear.
I'll validate you all day. But Kimberly, has there ever been a moment in your leadership when it would have been easier to compromise?
Well, what do they say? Integrity is what you do when other people aren't in the room, something to that effect. I think it's very true. I mean, we're faced with choices all the time that, let's be honest, some of our competitors might take the easy way out. But we have a set of values that we live by. It's the litmus test in which we choose to make decisions. And so when it comes to things like really having integrity, really supporting ownership in the community, we make decisions that are through that lens. And always, and I don't know if this is exactly part of this conversation, but the other lens that I consider is our status as a B corporation. And so we are a certified B Corp, which also means that we do not have to make decisions that are just for our shareholders' benefit, which in our case happens to also be our employees. But we make decisions that are in the best interest of our employees, our shareholders, our communities, our clients, and our partners. And so we can always choose to make decisions, even if it might not be in the immediate financial gain. And you mentioned before about kind of the long-term view. We also get the luxury of making decisions that are in the best interest of Butler Till in the long run. So it's not necessarily about meeting this quarter's goals or even this year's goals. We can continue to invest in our business and our people for the long run.
And I'm going to fangirl for a minute. First of all, I just want to say, how cool is it to be at an organization for 15 years where you're still fangirling on your friend/CEO?
So cool.
Just to be clear. So my fangirl moment, I can't tell you how many times, to compromise. The amount of times Kimberly has had everybody pause because we get it done. We're a move fast kind of an industry. I can't tell you how many times she hits the pause button, goes, can we just take a minute and think, is this on strategy? Is this in the best interest of shareholders? Is this in the best interest of people, planet, profit? Like she asks, she makes everybody pause and she does a really great job of who is not in the room right now that we.
Oh, I love that.
And there's times like we're building this building and we've got offices and open floor, but it's these little micro decisions that we realize, who's not in the room? Well, our employees who don't maybe have all the offices that we have, what would they like? Oh, they want their own separate cubicles. It's little things. Oh, they're going to want parking. They're not going to want to pay for parking, right? It's all these little micro moments that if you don't pause and go, who are we talking about that isn't in the room? Because all these decisions are being made without the ability to have all these people in the room. She does an excellent job of that. It forces all of us to pause. And then it's the same. Then that translates to the work and our clients, right? So now we're in a client conversation. It's like, who's not in the room? The patient. The patient's not right here with us. So what would they be thinking? How would they be feeling? How would the caregiver be thinking? And again, these are all like muscles that become so natural to us because of the way that we're leading. It transcends through every part and fiber of the organization. And it's like this ideal way to femtor mentor our people because they get to see it from us, but it also puts a lot of pressure on us in a good way.
Yeah.
Oh God, we got to really show up well today.
Yeah.
We got to show up well for our owners and our people. And, even when we're having stressful days.
Yeah. Well, to me, it's all about aligning interest. And so I think great outcome come as a result of aligning interest. And so for us, our interests are very much aligned to the experience of our employees. And so as Amanda's talking, she's giving me all the credit, but I can't, first of all, I feel like it's a culture that started with the ethos of Sue Butler and Stacy Till. And I very much see myself as a caretaker of this organization. I will be here for, I guess, not so brief period of time because it is going on year 17, but it is a period of time nonetheless. And I feel a great sense of obligation to leave it in a better state in which I found it. And it was already really an amazing organization, amazing culture when, Amanda and I and the rest of our leadership team took over in 2015.
So Sue Butler, when she kind of handed the reins over to us, it was like literally her last day in the office. And she never swore, just to be clear. And I said, Sue, what advice do you have for us as we're about to embark on this journey with you not really being in the day-to-day? And she grabs me by the shoulders. She looks me dead in the eye and she goes, don't F it up. And she didn't say F. She didn't say F it up. She said the whole, and I was so like, ugh. So
you used the four-letter word.
Every day I wake up and I go, today we will not F it up. Thank you, Sue Butler. Not that she's gone. She's not gone.
No pressure. No pressure.
She's always
so on a bad day, how do you protect it when someone is not living those ideals? Like, because what I don't want the takeaway to be, this is business. Like, it's not a coincidence you're driving results and all of these core philosophies are at the center. Those go together. So anyone listening who is like, oh, they're kind to their employees, they're also just smart. This is a smart move that I wish more companies understood. How do you protect it? Because I've been in the situation before where I'm like, oh, you could make us a lot of money, but you're kind of a jerk, so you're not getting the job.
Oh, yeah. We very much have a no jerk policy here at Butler Till. And what we find is that on the handful of occasions, and I can really only think of a couple where they made it through the hiring rounds and came into our organization, they were quickly identified as like, oh, this is not going to be the place for you. Oftentimes, actually, they self-select and they're like, no, this is not the right place for us. It's always seemed really intuitive to me that if you treat your people with kindness and respect, they in turn will treat our clients with kindness and respect. So I wouldn't say it's entirely altruistic. I feel like there's a true business reason for why you try to create the environment that we do for our employees, because I think that it leads to better outcomes across the board. And you said what happens when we have a bad day. And we work on this. We work on this as a leadership team, and not to suggest that we have too many constructs, but we did kind of create our leadership norms, which kind of get at that. So what are the norms, the behavioral norms that we try to adhere to, even if we're having a bad day? And it's things like always giving people the benefit of the doubt. So sometimes when you're having a bad day and you might snap at somebody, or maybe you don't pause when you should pause, or you don't act with the extreme kindness that perhaps that person deserves. Like, it's up to the other individual to say, you know what? I don't think that this is about me. I think there's something else going on here, and I'm just going to give you the benefit of the doubt and walk away. And we also do things like, not triangulate. So we don't talk about people when they're not in the room. Unless, to Amanda's point earlier, we do try to give thought to how decisions might impact somebody not in the room. But we don't really entertain the idea of, oh my gosh, do you know what so-and-so did? I'm like, well, if so-and-so did something, then you need to go tell so-and-so, because it's really not helpful for me to be involved. And that's, a little bit of human nature. So I don't mean to suggest that we're perfect at it by any stretch, but we all know that we're trying to do the best that we can. And we try to give that grace to one another.
And I think because of the norms, we start naming things. So we'll say things like, is this a meeting after the meeting? Because it's really great. It was a great meeting. You think it's a great meeting. And then all of a sudden you leave the meeting and people want to meet with you again about, it's the meeting after the meeting. And you really think,
you know what we're talking about, right? Like, you got this meeting and you think there's like great alignment and everybody's like, yes, yes, yes. And then you leave and everyone's like, I do not agree with that.
That is dead wrong. They are dead wrong. No, I think you said it. The reality is it's not all unicorns and rainbows, but when you acknowledge, when you listen, you then reset, and norms help you reset. It helps you name things. Language matters. Language changes behavior. So things like benefit of the doubt, or things like, hey, is this a meeting after the meeting? The language of business in this manner actually pushes the business forward, because you're not swirling and navigate. We have big things to navigate. We have clients that have really big things to navigate. We have clients that are literally saving lives and doing important things and running their own businesses. So the last thing they need is all of our swirl and infighting and frustration and confusion. And we take that incredibly seriously. So it's up to us to make sure that our nomenclature changes the behaviors and we practice as much as possible with each other.
Well, it's an investment. I mean, I think that's one thing that a lot of organizations maybe don't do enough, is invest in the dynamics of their executive and their senior leadership team. Like, we spend a lot of time working on our relationships with one another. And I always tell people, when it comes to our leadership team, there's not a better leadership team out there. And I call it the Gestalt effect, kind of the whole is worth more than the sum of the parts, because I'm sure that there's a better CEO out there. There may or may not be a better CMO out there. I don't know, Amanda, but you could probably find individuals that might perform objectively better than each one of us individually, but together, I really believe that we're unstoppable. And the reason that is because we have taken the time to invest in the relationships with one another. And we all care very, very deeply, not only about each other, which I think is kind of the first step, but of course, for the rest of our employee owners and our clients.
Because you understand each other.
Yeah.
There's no assumptions. I feel you see each other. So you're already aligned on where you're headed, and to understand each other and empathize is everything.
Yeah.
God, I want to talk to you another hour. Okay, I've just 2 more questions. I really do. I forget we're recording and I just have so many questions, but a lot of listeners and guests, frankly, there's evidence of imposter syndrome. And I'm getting none from this room.
Oh.
And I love that.
We're good at being imposters.
I'm just wondering, if you're listening and you're like, I want to be a part of that, it's not possible today. How can people find their voice or their home, or take a step in the circumstances that they currently hold, so they can have some sense of community within their control?
Yeah. Well, I'm a big fan of fake it till you make it, for sure. And I believe that everybody experiences imposter syndrome. Amanda and I both have to get on stage at the Rochester Convention Center tomorrow and address 450 employee owners. And I'm scared shitless. Are you kidding me? But it's something that you have to do. And even when you've done it many, many times before, I think that it's Well, you know what? I hope I always get the butterflies in my stomach, because I think that the moment that you stop feeling that little tingle is when maybe you stop caring, or that it doesn't mean as much, and it means a great deal to us. So for anybody out there that's suffering from imposter syndrome, I think you should embrace it. I think it's totally normal. I think it's a sign that you're human. I think it's a sign that you care. And I think that it's a sign that you're trying to do something worth doing.
First of all, I agree. Everybody has it. I have it. I can't imagine not having it. I think it pushes me in ways that if I had blind confidence, I don't think I'd be pushed. I certainly wouldn't be open and self-aware to feedback, because I would think I'm great at everything. So the self-talk is so incredibly important. And, our thoughts can sometimes feel as if they're truth. So for me, a lot of times I just remind myself, you belong in this room. You belong at this table. You belong in this relationship. Even if you're not fully believing it, say it, because when this kind of passes this threshold, your body, your mind listens to you. So the more you acknowledge, I belong here, and then find your people that help you understand that you do belong here. And then also find your people that are going to give you some tough feedback as to, you belong here, but let me tell you how I need you to show up. Let me tell you what this looks like. And let me tell you the privilege of belonging here that is on your shoulders. So we all have it. All the good people have it. So don't even worry about it. Embrace it and keep embracing it.
But I like at that point, Amanda, about finding your people. And, within any organization, if we're talking about a business setting or a social circumstance, I feel like you need to find the people that bring out the best in you. And it's one of the reasons that I hitched my wagon to Amanda so many years ago.
Same.
Because I believe that she makes me a better leader. I think I'm a better CEO as a result of her. And so I think wherever you are, find the equivalent of that. Yeah, that.
Such good advice. It's so good. It's not about me. Okay, last question.
It's on
What is something, the whole premise of this podcast is that we're all imperfect. And even the greatest leaders in our industry who I'm interviewing are examples of that, but we do it anyway. And I have the theory that if I can illuminate imperfections from people like you, someone listening may go, I don't have to be perfect to ask for that. I actually do deserve that. What is something either one, both of you are beta testing in your personal or professional life?
Well, I'm a parent of 2 teenage daughters, so I feel like I'm continually beta testing things.
It's so hard.
I say things and I'm like, whoop, that did not work out the way that it did in my head. So I will try a different tactic. But in the professional life, I think that you should be trying something every day that scares you just a little bit. That could be having a fierce conversation. That could be, leaning into conflict. That could be proposing new ideas to a client. I think when I think of business leaders whom I most admire, they're all risk takers, right? And inherently, if you're a risk taker, there's going to be some failures. And that's the only way we all learn. And it's all about continual improvement. Nobody's born perfect, right? So even the pursuit of perfection requires failure.
I'm wired to move very fast. So I think I'm probably beta testing, and I appreciate this because my colleagues are really good at this. I think just beta testing that some of the best thinking does not happen at full speed. And I think as you kind of ascend in your career, you get rewarded for like getting it done and moving and all these things. And I think as more gets on your plate, the decisions are heavier. They're really big. You're making them for more people and so on and so forth. Taking a beat, taking a pause, and slowing down a bit, taking a breath, walking away, coming back to the problem, I just think is something that I'm continually beta testing. And like I said, I have a lot of people around me that are really, really good at it, but I'm wired to move really fast. So I'm always beta testing that.
Yeah. Well, I think one thing that you do well, Amanda, and we talk about it a lot, is being able to differentiate when you can make decisions fast and when decisions need to be made more slowly. And a lot of it comes down to how reversible is the outcome. So if you're making a very quick decision, but it can easily be undone, then don't spend so much time, pontificating about the potential outcome. Like, let's just move, use the information that you have at your fingertips in the moment, make best decision you can and move forward. And if it's going to be a decision that has lasting impact, then, that's when you want to slow down and take a beat and probably gather some input from those around you.
Kimberly, tell Stacy your delegation, because I think that is it's one of my favorite things you say. And I think because we're Get It Done and we talk, and everybody that's listening, I guarantee you, are you all really good at delegation? And really great leaders sometimes struggle with delegation, or they realize I could just get it done versus having to explain it to someone else. So give her your,
there's a couple of things I think about. And I do believe that delegation is one of the challenges that most leaders struggle with, especially if you're new to leadership or new to management. And everybody says, oh, well, I'm really great at delegation. But the true definition of delegation is allowing somebody else to make a decision that you yourself would not make. I think oftentimes when we hear delegation, and you say, oh, I'm going to delegate this decision to you, and somebody says what they want to do, and you're like, oh, yes, that's exactly what I would do. Go for it. That's not exactly delegation. That's just allowing somebody else to say what you would have done anyway. But if you're going to delegate, then you got to be okay with letting somebody make the decision that you yourself would not make. And the other thing I think about, especially for executive leadership, right, where time is really our number one constraint, is giving thought to how you're spending your time and really focusing on only the things that only you can do. I think leaders often get sucked into other types of tasks that they might actually be better equipped to do. But even if they could do it more effectively, oftentimes there's somebody else that could do it at 80 or 90%. You should probably let that person do it, even if it's not the 100% outcome, and really think, what are the things that only Amanda DeVito can do? And she should be most squarely focused on those things.
What just happened?
Right. I
feel so inspired. I'm trying not to. What did you say?
Stacy's trying to think about what are the things that only Stacy can do.
Yes.
I think this podcast is one of them.
Yes. I love this podcast. Let's go for another 6 hours.
I know. You guys, thank you.
You're welcome.
You guys delivered like 10x what I was hoping and knew you would. I'll say it again, Butler Till. I am your, outside of the owners, your biggest fan. I will lay in traffic as it relates to things appropriate in media for your team.
Thank you.
They are living your philosophies, your traits, and everything that you're hoping on the streets every day. Thanks for illuminating your imperfections, showing us what true synergy looks like, and being a friend. And I hope to talk to you soon. And I'll see you in France.
Absolutely.
Yes.
We can do a take two.
Yes.
Take two.
Talk to you soon.
Thanks, Stacy.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.